A New Brunswick judge has lifted a publication ban on court documents in the Fredericton shooting case that reveal some details of how the deadly attack unfolded. Matthew Vincent Raymond, 48, has been charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder in the August 10 shooting deaths of Bobby Lee Wright and Donnie Robichaud, and Constable Rob Costello and Constable Sarah Burns of the Fredericton Police. On Monday, hours after the media published details of the case laid out in court documents, including the police response, and injuries sustained by the alleged shooter, prosecutor Cameron Gunn sought a retroactive publication ban from the province's Court of Queen's Bench, forcing news outlets to remove stories they had already published. Several media organizations challenged the ban in court. Mr. Gunn, the executive director of prosecutions with the Public Prosecution Services of New Brunswick, said the Crown was willing for the ban to be replaced with a more narrow one that blocked only the publication of names in the court documents, including those of the responding police officers. The inclusion of such details in the court filings was an oversight, RCMP Staff Sergeant Jean-Marc Barret said in a sworn affidavit, arguing that publication of the information could contaminate the investigation. But David Coles, a lawyer representing media companies including the Globe and Mail, the CBC, Post Media and Brunswick News, argued there was no basis for such a ban. The names would be in the public domain during the trial, he said, and reporters could learn them from other sources. On Friday, after hearing the arguments, Justice Judy Clendening, who had granted the ban initially, reversed her position. The evidence falls short of establishing that a ban should be granted, even in the narrow situation of the protection of the privacy of the individuals, and I do not find that the salutary effects of granting the publication ban strongly outweigh the deleterious impacts, the judge said. It was a sound decision, Mr. Coles said in an interview on Friday. There is a presumption that the courts are open and transparent, and overturning that requires compelling evidence. Mr. Coles said he believes publication ban applications are becoming more frequent, and the circumstances in which they are sought are becoming more broad. The challenge, he said, is that it's often one or more media outlets that are left to take up the role of fighting these things, to keep the justice system open. Of particular frustration in this case, he said, is the fact that the individuals whose names the Crown was looking to protect had not even been consulted. Police have said previously that Ms. Wright and Mr. Robichaud were shot first, in the parking lot outside Mr. Robichaud's apartment building. The 2 officers were shot when they responded, just after 7:20 a.m. The Crown information sheet says a 3rd officer, Sergeant Jason Ford, arrived moments after them. Sergeant Ford then heard a couple more gunshots, so he proceeded into 237 Brookside Drive in back of Building C, the document states. Once there, he noticed Constables Costello and Burns laying on the ground not moving. He also noticed another male on the ground and not moving, beside Costello. A male witness told Sergeant Ford that shots were coming from the top floor of the apartment building. He and another officer entered the building, set up containment and confirmed which unit the alleged shooter was in. Sergeant Ford later learned that another officer, described in the documents as Constable, had engaged the shooter after he saw him point his long gun at him from the window. Constable believed he had hit the shooter in the torso, the document says. A little while later, members of Fredericton Police Force Emergency Response Team entered the apartment and took the lone occupant and shooter into custody. The suspect had been shot in the abdomen. Mr. Raymond is scheduled to appear in court on August 27. A regimental funeral will be held in Fredericton on Saturday for the 2 police officers. With a report from the Canadian Press,